light is a bit small. I want to put on my.
You need light?
I need light, yes.
Not that light. Can we focus on him? Can we focus the light on him?
The results are presented for 11 words, and they are as follow. And the code range from code 1, which code 2, code 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, and for the respective word, okay, number of registered voters 118671. Number of accredited voters. I want to present the result as follows. Number of registered voters 118671. Again, number of registered voters 118671. Number of accredited voters 24868. Again, number of accredited voters 24868. Having done that, the votes received by political party as follows. AA parties 5 votes, ADC party 7, ADC party 7, ADP party 120. Again, ADP party 120. APC party 10458. Again, APC party 10468. Again, APC party 10458. Again, APC party 10458. Abga APGA party 7. Abga APGA party 07. APW party 07. APM party 07. L, then APP party 06. APP party 06. LP party 13. LP party 13. NPP party 11. NNPP party 11.
1.
NRM party 26. Again, NRM party 26. The next party, PDP party 1, 3, 4, 4, 5. Again, PDP party 1, 3, 4, 4, 5. SDP party. SDP party 27. Is if you look at the if you look at what we have in the SDP party 27. YPP party is being covered by stamp here, but I can still see it. 06. YPP party 06. Then ZL party 05. ZL party 05. Having presented the vote received by political parties, I want to proceed to highlight total party votes, rejected votes, total vote cast, and as follows. Total party votes, I have a stamp covering it. I want to be very careful. I stamp, there's a stamp that covers it.
Very careful and look at it.
243. Total party 2423. 2423. Then after that, rejected.
Please excuse me, Doc, just a minute. We are looking at total valid votes. Is it 24213?
Okay. 24213.
Thank you.
It is stamped. That is why it is stamped.
Thank you. Please, clarification is 24213. Go ahead.
Then rejected vote 614. Rejected vote 614. The last but not the least, total voted vote cast 24827. Again, total vote cast 24827.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
For your presentation. Can we, is there any cancellation for Moriogo?
From the result, row number 7, Uro Nigbe North.
Which one are they? Ward
7.
Ward 7.
0 4, because no other take place. 0. Then
Which means the entire Ward 7 is cancelled.
yes, cancel. Yes, 0.
Ward 8.
Ward 8, Uro Nigbe South 08. 0 vote to wrap.
Do you have your reports? Detailing the reason for cancellation, please. What are the total number of voters in Ward 7? Total number of voters in Ward 7.
Total number of voters in Ward 7. Of 7, 7600.
What of Ward 8?
7600.
For Ward 8?
Forward 8, 7896. 7896.
Okay, bring the report, please. Waiting for cancellation. He said the electoral balance. I think that she said it earlier. Thank you. Let me have the report sheet. Let me have the result.
Okay.
Thank you. Electoral balance.
14.
Okay, you can take your seat. You can take your leave, please. Collection officer. Okay. Collection officer, you can take your leave, please. I've been only informed that the results of Abuja Southwest will be here in the next 40 minutes. So we'll not be going on break. Just stand by in the next 40 minutes. Thank you. Yes, comments? Yes. You can take the mic.
My name is Charity Amaya, and I'm the APC state representative here. If you recall, sir, I did tell you that what you are coming to see at, or what is going to be presented is going to be against you. And I'm sure Nigerians have seen another drama. The one of Goodluck Jonathan is just like this. And this is a reflection of what has happened in the Edo State governorship election. The reason why we are saying this is that it was so difficult for them to do between yesterday night and this morning. And you can see. I'm coming, sir.
Go straight to the issue.
Cancellation was done in Ward 7 and Ward 8. Those cancellation was done at the local government level. The man that just gave this report now didn't have any power whatsoever to do such cancellation.
Sorry, when you take cancellation at this time, it's 0 votes. And not cancellation votes.
If it is 0 votes, my party is affected. Because in these two wards, the one was 7 with about 3,000 votes, and was 8 with about 4,000 votes.
We don't have that vote.
And those results are there at the world level.
0 votes.
Those results were declared at the world coalition level.
Thank you.
And at that point, it shows how this election is going. And we as a party, we want to protest it, and we are saying that the 0 vote is not, and we will not accept it. Also, in Ward 9, there were also cancellation in 9 units.
It's part of what I was submitted, please.
So when
it has not been collected. We've taken note of that.
But I just want to register it, and I want Nigeria to know that those decisions are not. We will accept it as a party, and we will protest it in the appropriate quarter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
O-R-H-I-O-N-W-O-N.
Sir, my name is Okengawale, agent for SDP. Yes, sir. I want to observe something here. Since 1999,
You are going to
this is the election that we have seen and we are satisfied.
Thank you.
Because right from the polling units, during the trip they told us that results will be transmitted from the polling units to INEC website. This result, we have it already, we have seen them. And nothing has been altered. Nobody has complained anything. Kudos, INEC.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're waiting patiently while we're taking to record of what we have just heard from Oriomo. We're waiting patiently for Abuja Southwest. Gentlemen of the press, thank you very much. Thank you for exercising your patience. We are happy with the calmness today. Thank you.
right, we just saw results from one out of the 2 local government areas we have been waiting for coming. That's Oriomo local government area, AA5, ADC 7, ADP 120, the APC 10,458, ABGA 7, APM 7, APP 6, LP 13, NNPP 11, NRM 26, PDP 13,445, SDP 27, YPP 6, ZLP 5. Yes, we've been here. We're still here, keeping an eye on what is happening in the collation center here at the INEC headquarters in Aduwawa, very close to the Ramatak. And of course, we'll be bringing you reactions from across the state. Our team of reporters have all gone out in the course of the day. We'll bring you reactions from all parts of the state as we wind down this process. And of course, Professor Diaragbe and Dr. Kunzwa Osawaru, they are still very much here with us, sharing their thoughts on the process, which actually started yesterday when the people actually decided who leads them for the next 4 years. We just saw one of the agents commending INEC that they have actually seen results from INEC Porter, Prof.
One of the ground rules as far as results are concerned is that until INEC or its representatives announce or read results, the results are not yet out. And that is why in the early hours of this morning, about 00 something, the INEC chair, they were beginning to say, wait for official announcement. And that is why it was later in the morning that here announcements were made. So even though that result was up there, until it was read as it was now, it was not yet taken, as it were. But the whole idea of placing the results there was to serve as a safeguard and protection in terms of the authenticity or otherwise of whether what was out there is what was still being read. And remember, when INEC was explaining the use of this whole portal, it was that the results as read now is believed was what was read at the collation, at the various polling units and the collation center at Orionwo before the result got to Benin. And so if the returning officer from Orionwo had read something different, it would have been a case of what happened. And that is why we have been saying that this is the direction Nigeria has to go. And if there is any law that is not making it possible now, there is need to put in place the enabling legislation that will make it to be. That is where the issue of the Electoral Act Amendment that Mr. President was expected to sign last year, the executive that is president, to really put in place this enabling instrument, because the world has gone digital. And we are happy. Mr. President has held so many meetings during this period of the COVID lockdown. So many meetings through virtual consultation, that is virtual meetings that have taken place. If we can go that direction in terms of technology and be holding meetings both nationally and internationally, there's no reason why we cannot leverage on the advantages of technology to now safeguard the sanctity of our electoral process. Because people believe that those people that are there in the field, if the results are protected there could be no room for manipulations that will be leading to attacks at collation centers, like we saw in some of the elections that took place outside, not Edo State this time, where we were hearing that, military personnel, some fake, and all were there to hijack, to steal, to kill, and all that, and to disrupt the system. So it's a major positive development that has occurred now. And what it has helped to do is that even if there was any attempt by any of the ad hoc staff or permanent staff to try to manipulate anything, it will be that, look, the result is waiting for you there, already posted as far as the portal is concerned. Oh. So I see it as a very major positive development that we have to further work on and see how the necessary legislation will be in place to back it up, especially with our president, that is our national elections in the future. Thank you.
Dr. Sawa, your view on this too.
The way we do for INEC, and we want an INEC that will be very, very bold.
INEC that will be jealous of his independence, INEC that will be imaginative, INEC that will always invest and perform to confirm his credibility in the eyes of Nigerians. And INEC that will realize that substantially the survival of Nigerian democracy depends on it. And if they pull this one through the way they are promising now, give confidence to all who are looking at us, whether internally or externally, that we are ready to actually take our democracy seriously. And the cornerstone of that is the opinion and the mood of the people that will always determine who their leaders will be. So it will be a good for in the first instance. Okay, now I was following this conversation earlier with Fisayo, and you were talking about your observation on a reduction in the incidences of void votes. It could be that all of the sensitization done ahead of this election played out. But one thing we have come to notice is that after the election, it dies down, only for the whole process to start again a few months to the election. Do you think there should be an improvement in all of this?
No, one of the things we have observed over time is that there may be no total focusing on these developments. But I want to assure you, because with all humility, one of my second things as a lecturer by way of community service is getting involved in public lectures and all. I know how many lectures I've had to give between organized by civil society, Congress, and others on these matters of elections, responsibilities, and all of them put together. So it is not that once the elections are over, everybody goes to sleep. There are different organizations today that are devoted to seeing how people can be more conscious about who do you vote for, how do you hold your leaders accountable. Just like Dr. Okunzwa was saying earlier today, what is the role of constituency offices in the life of representatives and all? How would it be that maybe a student from your area is having issues about maybe scholarships or bursaries and all, and nobody to see you? You just win elections and you go over. But it's when you are seeking for their votes that you're organizing sitting arrangement to give beer, and they are talking of leader, and all of that. So I am saying that there is not that there's a total void. You know that there is also the fact that, look, if you start teaching people now how to vote for elections coming up 4 years' time, even the knowledge might become stale and all of it. And the relevance, urgency, they say strike while the iron is hot, makes it sometimes that even though there have been latent and underground lectures and things going on or trying to coach the people, it's still not out of place to give a hype to it when it is an election period like we have just seen now. And that is why you find that if you want to be sincere, governance, almost everything in Edo State over the last few months now has been focused on elections. You don't want a government to run like that. Let it be that there is a period for election, there is a period for governance, and then when the time comes, everybody can be mobilized and sensitized. It's almost the same thing with the advanced democracies. You don't go back to the United States and start campaigning when the elections are not yet due. It is when they're almost due, start having primaries, then different interactions, interviews, just like we are doing this period. So I don't want us to over-politicize our conduct as a people. It is need to have political education, but at the same time, let it be that the issues of governance can take precedence once elections are over. We now come to say, what is happening to our educational sector? What is happening to our health sector? What is happening to the economy? These are issues that are more contemporary, more reaching as far as the people's lives are concerned at any given time.
Okay, now we've gotten results for one of the two local government areas we have been waiting for. That's Orionwo and Ovia Southwest left to go before final declarations will be made. Dr. Sawaro, I'm just, in all of what we have seen, all that has played out from yesterday when the polls actually opened, what's your take?
My take is we have had an apprentice process over and above the reports of some incidents in outlying areas. I think the condition of June has not manifested. We have not erupted in flames. Violence is being at the lowest level, if at all it occurred, and so on. And it will appear that people had made up their mind very solidly before yesterday. The way they came out enthusiastically to express themselves in different locations, and when the results were declared at different units or wards, the way they burst out in ecstasy and the rest of it. So I think that's indication that the result they have seen was a kind of reflection of what their intention was before they cancelled it. So generally, I think the exercise can be well received or appraised as having gone on harmoniously and in keeping with the wish of the people.
Okay, Prof, you want to share your thoughts in this direction?
Yes, I fully agree with him on this, and to also add one or two other issues. The first of them is that we had so many observers, international, national, and local, that were here with us. And I think we must commend our people, right from the governor down to the ordinary people on the streets, that Edo as a package is one that we can be proud of. In this particular regard, we must salute the great Oba of Benin for his interventionary role that made it that some of these issues that could have escalated to a large extent, tensions were doused. And to this extent also, we want to congratulate and thank the political gladiators themselves. Because a time it was that, like the election of yesterday, vehicles will be going around, moving from polling booth to polling booth or unit to unit, and then nobody is stopping them. But there was a high level of compliance, for which, of course, the security operatives must be congratulated, because they made it clear that there was not going to be any sacred cow, that anybody coming to the polling unit or voting point was going to come as an individual civil citizen, not the one that will come in with all aids coming to disrupt the system. So what we are saying is that the outing that has occurred now for us, this is almost like an international match involving so many spectators globally watching, queuing on to see what is happening. And in this particular case, we have done relatively well. The fact remains that there is no location where, remember, we're an African nation. We have heard of other areas. It's not that we are celebrating it when there are people being killed and all. We have seen it even in our country before now. But to a large extent, what has happened now, very unfortunate, painful, because like the former president said, that is Goodluck Jonathan, and the governor of our state said just before this election, no blood ordinarily should have been left because of election. Because what it means, and this is what people have been saying, unfortunately, those lives have come and they have gone, and life will continue. And it will be most unfortunate if these were, and I suspect is the case, they were victims. Not that they were the perpetrators of violence, but they were the recipients of victims of violence, which is most unfortunate. So we have been saying now that the way INEC performed this time, the way the security operatives performed, the way the political gladiators performed, the way the populists came out, exercised their franchise, obeyed and stayed to defend their votes from what we heard, the way the elements cooperated with Edo people, all of it has given us something that we are still waiting for the announcement to be made, is that something great and good has happened for our state once again.
Dr. Kunzuwa, is not yet over until it is over. I'm sure you still have expectations.
Oh yeah, we have just one government area to go, and statistically, I really don't think that is going to upset the trend we're already seeing. We expect the atmosphere of peace to be maintained. We expect sportsmanship at this level, as people have always said. We expect who will be declared the winner to be magnanimous, and whoever is going to be declared the loser. So, well, it showed a lot of gallantry. It was not to walk over altogether. And there might be better days ahead. You know, whatever happens to us in life is always in the hands of God. So, we can have a better day for not just the main challenger, for the remaining 12 contenders who had the courage to show up in this election. So let's wait for the 18th announcement. Let's wait for the winner to be declared, and then let's see what will happen between November 12th after all.
Okay, all right. One local government, or you have
yes, just something to add
just
here.
before we go back to Abuja.
Yes, just to add here that I want to apologize to you and indeed to the media. Why? And I'm also holding you guilty. In all our discussions, you have not asked us, how have we performed as media in terms of this election?
I'm sure we'll come to that.
I don't know. So what I really want to say at this stage, we want to commend the media for their role in these elections. The media has shown, the Nigerian media has shown that it's up to date. It is digital. And we see that they were able to package, give the candidates the opportunity to present themselves, ask relevant questions, and make people aware of what is happening. And so both the electronic, print media and all, they must be commended for what they have done so far. And we are calling on them to live up to it and keep it up.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. Okay, one more local government to go, that's Ovia Southwest, and hopefully the whole process will be concluded. We'll now go back to our Abuja Edo Decide studio, where Femi Okeowo is already standing by with his panelists there.
Thank you very much, Agatha, and we're glad to be back here again. Just like he has done a couple of times, Professor Eddie again has taken an issue off my mouth. We have in the studio someone who would talk about the media and like areas, but before I introduce him, let me thank Shamsuddin Yusuf for coming on the program, and in his place, in a moment from now, we're going to have Dr. Osita Okechukwu, the Director General of the Voice of Nigeria. That's the person I said will talk on the media participation in this election and other elections. But now I want to say special thank you to Shamsuddin Yusuf for being part of our discussion this afternoon. Now, while we get Dr. Osita, yes, Shamsuddin, I want to say thank you for being part of this program. You have given us so much insight. Thank you. You can continue with your observations. We have delayed. So have a word or two before you go?
Yeah, I think, the thing is that Nigerians just need to know that the future of election lies on the hands, and the need to ensure that things are done differently. We need to ask the right question, and where we think that the politicians around us are making things quite difficult, we need to go beyond personality. We need to go beyond partisan politics, but what is most important is the need for us to always ask the right question, identify gaps in the system, and find a way to be part of, positively contributing to development or deepening of democracy in the country.
But Shamsuddin Yusuf for coming and taking a lot of your time on this Sunday to discuss Edo Decides. Thank you. And now here, let's take you, David, to some of the issues. Again, before we went back to Benin, we were talking about the delays. What, in your opinion, does it do to the psyche of the people expecting results?
Well, delay naturally leads to anxiety, but thankfully, in the situation of Edo Decides, as we're seeing now, much of the results have come in. Okay. We're waiting now, I think, for only one local government. So I think a pretty good picture of what is to be expected is already far painted. Okay. What is left at the moment is for the advocacy for peace to be upskilled at this time, so that no matter what the final outcome is, the situation in Edo should be properly managed. Whoever emerges victorious should be magnanimous in victory, and whoever loses should lose gallantly, knowing that there would be another contest again pretty soon. So that's the kind of atmosphere that we think should be established over there. So far, we are largely impressed. There have been glitches, like I said earlier on, a couple of violence here and there, but not to the magnitude that we feared in the build-up to this election. And INEC has done tremendously well. Where there have been delays, we saw them bounce back, and the process had gone through largely satisfactorily. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Now we have Dr. Osita Okechukwu with us, the Director General of the Voice of Nigeria. He too, like many other observers, has been observing, and I'm sure he has a preliminary report, if we call it that, a state of mind for this election so far. He has been monitoring, not just both as a politician and also as a media man. And luckily, just before we switched off from Benin, Professor Eddie was talking about the performance of the media. You will notice, Dr. Osita, that most of the time, the assessment of media performance is always left to the last. People talk about INEC, people talk about security, people talk about, except when the media is endangered, that's when we hear one or two stories about that. But in a general assessment, people hardly bring in the media into it. Now, you would always have your eyes on the political output, but then also have your eyes on the media performance. Let's have a general picture of what you think about this Edo election.
Much, and thank Nigerians for the growth of democracy. What happened in Edo had enriched our democracy. It had defied pundits who had predicted Armageddon. On the media, we've done well as well. It is a collective thank you to all, to the Edo people who turned out en masse in spite of all the hype about a possible breakdown of law and order, violence, killing, maiming. I will thank the Edo people who have always known who Edo people are, that at a time like this, nobody will intimidate them and nobody will harangue them. But let me start by saying that I'm Mr. Sito Okechukwu. I couldn't pass the exam to get a doctorate degree. So for the media had done so well. The security forces had also done well. And Mr. President had to be commended highly, because at times like this, he had demonstrated that he's a true convert of democracy, because he resisted all the attempts and persuasions that he should hit the gavel or the proverbial federal might. But Mr. President said, the country is ours. The growth of democracy is for the good of all of us. The people of Edo has the inalienable right to elect, as he said when he was in Imo, and when he was in Lagos, he always said, vote according to your conscience. So for that, we commend Mr. President, we commend the people of Edo, we commend the media, and we commend INEC as well, especially with the advancement of democracy they have, digitalization they have added, by opening a portal that gets the result from the polling unit level, what they call the form ECA, showing which party got what, how many votes were accredited, how many voted, move to the list of the parties that are actually what we call in political science the missionary parties that are actually not contesting the election. INEC recorded all of them and showed it to the public at the instant. And for that, we commend Professor Mahmoud and his team. And we also pray that as we continue along this line, it's now mandatory that anybody who wants to be a president of the country, you want to be governor of a state, you want to represent a district as a senator, you want also to represent a constituency as a House of Assembly or Federal House of Representatives, that you have to rely on your people. That even if you distribute money, that because of the secrecy of the ballot, you will be outwitted by those you gave the money. Because as one observer said, the good thing about democracy and the election in Nigeria is that it has an unverified or unconventional code, no refund after payment. So for those who wasted their funds to buy votes, I do not think you are reflected in today's result. So wait for the final result to be in a position to also look at the different senatorial districts in Edo because we understand as well that in the 2016 gubernatorial election, the two major contenders were also the two major contenders. The only differential is that today they are playing with different colors. The difference then was about 6,314 votes. So at the end of today, we should know what is the difference and how, and where did the votes come from, and why was the votes denied. So thanks for inviting me this afternoon.
Has been very kind to the people of Edo State and to this election. You talked about a large turnout. It could also be that nature allowed them to. We didn't hear of any major place where rains, which is still very prevalent in that part of the country, disrupted voting. What could have accounted for the determined turnout of voters in Edo State for this election?
A lot of factors from listening to the previous speakers and down the line since yesterday. NTA, I must say that NTA did so well. You people started as early morning yesterday, and it kept us hooked up. We got to know even the little we thought we did not know before. It was expanded. And when you put all the potpourri of what made up the agitation, one is an off election. Normally, when you have an off election, where it's only one state out of the 6 states and Federal Capital Territory, definitely there'll be eyes on the place. Secondly, as well, for my great party, the APC, we also were looking at how to recover the states, because that was the only spot we have in a region, a geopolitical region called the South-South. So if we lose, it will be something we'll have to ruminate and go back to the drawing board to know what we'll do next. We were highly prepared for the election because we didn't want to lose such a vital state and such a vital region. Because when you're going for such a contest that we are going to face sooner or later in 2023, you have to also have a stronghold in any of the region, in all the regions, because we are not a local political party. We are not a village or provincial party. We are number one. We are the national party of the country. So for us, we kind of did all we could to be able to rescue back the state and recover it. The PDP on their own, they celebrated the fact that they got one of us, the incumbent governor, pro bono, what the lawyers will call pro bono. So they welcomed Obaseki with open arms. And they forgot as well that the much he achieved was also in line with the infrastructural base that President Muhammadu Buhari had promoted in the last 5 years, both in agriculture, both in fiscal infrastructure like roads. So the PDP grabbed him, and for the PDP, they held him tight, gave all their support, so the hype became so high. And if you know what Edo is, don't forget that it's the old Midwest region, and the first region created after independence, with a highly enlightened core of individuals, well educated. I think they should be one of the most educated region in the country, and well traveled. And they themselves also control the media. They have a good hold on Nigerian main private media. So the hype was all over the place that the heaven will fall, this will happen, that will happen. So in fact, that was why I was surprised myself with the turnout. For the rains, I never bothered about the rain because this is tropics. And everybody that knows about the weather of the tropics knows that we're in the rainy season. The rain, I know, do not prevent the Edo people from going to their farm. So the rain will not prevent them because it was a crunchy contest between two brothers and two friends. So a lot of people do not know that Osage and Godwin are friends. And they also came from the same district and neighboring local councils. And they are Beninese, going by the traditional name, or the tribal, or the nationality where they come from. Is basically they are Beninese. So being brothers, it heightened the local agitation on the ground. And there was also the fear that whichever group that loses might.
Now, I want to go to Sheriff now. Dr. Okechukwu is giving us an insight, an inkling into the political gameplay that went on in Edo State. But generally, everybody, or largely, people think that this is a successful election so far. And every time we have a successful election, people think we have taken a step forward. Only for us to see another election that may suggest that we should begin all over again. Sheriff, where do you place this election? Can it be already, even as it stands now, being a step forward for our polity in Nigeria? Let me take David for this. How do you assess this election? Are there things we can build on, which we can say, okay, Edo set a standard in this? For instance, everybody agrees that the level of violence people expected was not what we got. So it went far lower than what we got. So how can we build on this?
You know, from 2015 elections all the way up to 2019, you know, and what we're seeing currently in Edo, there's been incremental improvement, you know. And I think this can largely also be ascribed to some of the innovations that INEC is bringing to play, you know, in subsequent elections after the previous one. Hate speech was big in 2015 elections. But you see that it sort of reduced when we came to 2019, hate speech and fake news. And in this place, yes, there's been quite some misinformation, you know, from both political parties to influence the narrative, the political narrative in that space. But it's not as bad as we saw in previous elections. The unwholesome activity of vote buying and vote selling is also showing. But if you compare with what we saw in elections before now, then you'll agree with me that there's incremental, you know, improvement. We expect that that trend will continue, you know, and that would ultimately lead to the improvement that is desirable in our electoral process. So it gives me a sense of hope, you know, that things will get better as we continue.
Now, let me take Sheriff with this issue. You had the question I put to David. What are the things you think we should build up coming from this election?
Actually happened, you know, in Edo State. And we also commended all the institutions involved in the conduct of the elections, especially the security operatives, the officials of INEC, as well as the electorate. But there are other issues that must be put into cognizance, especially on the side of INEC, because the issue of late arrival of election materials, even though the non-sensitive materials arrived, you know, in Edo, I think a week before even the 19th of September. So usually we know that there is distance, you know, between the place where those materials are to be distributed, and some places are riverine in nature due to the ambience of the topography. And we also know that all these electoral materials need to be escorted, you know, by the security agent before they arrive to where they are. But it is also imperative that whenever there is an election of such significance, especially state governorship elections, the issue of delay in the arrival of electoral materials should be avoided. That is one. Then secondly, we are not innovators in terms of technology. We have not invented the card reading machine, and that is why one of the governorship candidates said that he was disappointed in INEC because the card readers were too slow, or in some cases, in many places, the card readers failed. So I think there is the need for INEC to consolidate all effort in making sure that such failure is not actually recorded, especially in the subsequent elections, looking at Ondo elections as well as the 2023 general elections. So this is one. Then secondly, the issue of this local government, this Oriomon local government, initially it was declared that INEC officials and results were missing. So I think there is the need for closer monitoring, of what is going on in each and every polling unit, in each and every local government. There is no way for INEC officials to be missing, in a peaceful atmosphere where elections have been conducted peacefully. So this will actually cause so many speculations as well as conclusions as what really constitute the missing of INEC officials and the result of this local government. But eventually we have seen the officers in charge of the local government have forwarded the results, and they have actually announced that particular result party by party, the number of total vote cast and the ones rejected. So this also must be avoided in our build-up, to subsequent elections. Then another issue is we should try to deal with vote buying and selling, because what we experienced in our previous elections in Edo, in Ikiti, and the rest of them in Kogi, in Kano, where PVCs were being collected and money given to electorates. So this is a slap to our democratic journey. I think by all means, Nigeria should try to avoid this, regardless of the reason or cause of this particular issue. People will argue that it is poverty that gravitated people into submitting their PVC cards, for the mega amount of money they receive, 5,000 naira or less. So I think the level of poverty shouldn't have resulted into this political suicide, as people giving their PVC, selling out their mandate, to just a mega amount of money. So the issue of vote selling and vote buying should actually be closely monitored, and the stakeholders in the electioneering process should try as much as possible to see the end of it in our democratic journey, especially in the subsequent elections coming. And the issue of security is not an intimidation, because the security operatives are not intimidating no political party, either the ruling party or the opposition, but rather the Inspector General of Police was highly committed to seeing that peaceful elections, have been conducted in the state of Edo. Why? Because without the presence of the security operatives, then there is motivation within the electoral milieu, for people to actually get or indulge into, ballot snatching and all sorts of violent activities within the polling unit. So these are some of the issues that we must actually look at in our build-up in subsequent elections, in making sure that peaceful elections are actually conducted in state and general elections as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sherif Gali Ibrahim. While you were talking, and of course, while others have been talking, indeed, that has been part of what he has been doing in studio all day. The INEC representative, Nick Dazang, the Director of Public Education, was taking notes. He may want to react to some of the issues you raised.
I want to react to one or two issues, just to correct certain assumptions, particularly made by Dr. Sharif. The smart card reader was designed by INEC staff. It was merely built outside the country. The same thing with the permanent voter card. And that is why, the smart card reader and the PVC can endure certain conditions which ordinarily in other climes they cannot endure. But we also need to appreciate that each technology we deploy has shelf life. I always like to remind people that even your handset that you use has a shelf life. The computer you use has a shelf life. And it is hard to see any computer that you can use for more than 4 years. Now we have used the permanent voter card. We used it since 2011 general elections. And the idea initially was for these cards to be used for just 2 elections. And we thought that by now, NIMISI, which is also generating data and which card has greater longevity than that of INEC, that by now would begin to now migrate or transit from using the PVCs to the national identity cards to conduct elections. But this has not happened because the collation of the data by NIMISI has not gained the kind of traction that we had envisioned. Now, these same PVCs also, like I said, have a shelf life of 10 years, and they have antennae embedded in them, and there's the way they are supposed to be kept too, but most of the time people keep them in their purses, they sit on them, and then, the antennae embedded are broken, and that makes it difficult for the smart card reader to read them. Secondly, the smart card readers too, have begun to fall into disuse because we've used them for 5 years now. Mm-hmm. But even in recognizing this, what we have tried to do is we normally, station technical staff at the ward level, so that if there are issues with any of the smart card readers, they can come and troubleshoot. And if the troubleshooting fails, we now replace the smart card reader. But what we are also trying to do, and which we tried in Nasarawa State, is to use the Z-Pad, which will now complement the smart card reader. The Z-Pad captures or helps the SCR, the smart card reader, in reading the facials of the voter. Yeah. But we deployed it in a small election in Nasarawa State. We have not perfected it, so there was no way we could have deployed it in Edo, especially given the fact that, one, we were conducting this election within the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, okay. And secondly, you recall that there was violence leading up to the conduct of the election. Mm-hmm. So we didn't want to add an innovation that was new and not mastered, yes. And then it then generates its own challenges, okay. And it makes it difficult for us to manage. Yes. So I thought I should correct that. Then secondly, we was talking about inconclusive elections. Mm-hmm. Well, we wished in INEC that we can conclude elections at the first round. It's more cost effective in terms of redeploying staff to where, yes. The elections have to be conducted, yes. Again, in terms of printing ballots and so on.
But is that not one of the things, yes. People seem to have observed about this election? Yes,
yes, but most of the time, the inconclusive elections we have had were caused by violence. And where violence and disruptions occur, and they affect the outcome of the elections in such a way that those figures affected can determine the outcome, then, yeah. We have to go back and get a real winner of that contest. Yes. A real winner has to emerge. And don't forget too that We have requirements for certain elections, particularly presidential and governorship.
Yes.
For these two elections, you must score the highest votes cast in that election and secure at least 25%.
Two-thirds.
And two-thirds
Okay.
for a state, in two-thirds of the local governments.
Yes.
In a presidential election, two-thirds and FCT.
Yeah.
So sometimes if the candidate leading does not meet this threshold, if a winner does not emerge based on these requirements, you now have to go back and conduct the election again. And people forget easily that even in other jurisdictions outside Nigeria, in Nigeria recently there was an election, it was not concluded on the first round. In Australia there was an election, it was not concluded on the first round. And in so many jurisdictions. And
so it means it's not necessarily a discredit to the
yes, I'm coming
election
to that.
umpires.
In 1979, lest we forget, there was contestation over the emergence of Sheikh Shagari because he was thought not to have secured the requirements, as president.
Yes.
So it's not the first time we're having inconclusive elections. Also, I would like us to note that when elections also are inconclusive, it does not mean that the elections are in themselves bad. You know, the contest can be so fierce that the two leading contestants might not meet these requirements. And therefore, you now have to go back and do a rerun.
Yes.
And the law provides for it. And in any contest we do, governorship or presidential, we print two sets of ballots and result sheets, so that if this requirement is not met, after the mandatory period required for the rerun, we now go back and do the rerun. So we make provision for that. And it's all of this is provided for by the law.
Now, are you ready? Are you prepared enough now? Have you mastered the Z-pad enough to be able to say if you're going to use it for the Ondo election?
Well, we are still working on it.
Okay.
And if we are going to deploy it, we'll come here and say it.
Yes.
There's nothing in the process, I've always said, that is secret. The only thing we do in secret is the act of the voter casting his vote in that cubicle. You know?
Yes.
But all other INEC activities are in the open. Our budgets are well known. We take them to the National Assembly. We debate them. Procurements are well known. They are advertised. Due process is followed. You know, so there's nothing we do in secret. We appreciate, we recognize that we are working for the Nigerian people and we must account to them. And so we do everything in the open, and we would like other stakeholders to set store by the same kind of transparency, you know, and to comport themselves professionally. Once we do things professionally, each stakeholder bringing his talent and using it positively, you will discover that we at the end of the day, achieve a very, very good result, as we have seen in the conduct of this election. If the politicians do the needful, the security agencies do the needful, the voters do the needful, and INEC does its own part, you know, and the media too, if they do, because the media, I always say, they are critical to the electoral process. We cannot succeed in educating the media, the voter or the public, without the media. Yes. It is the media that we use to explain our policies, to market those policies, and any innovation that we introduce, we make sure we come to you and we explain. And that way, you know, the messages are carried further afield, people comprehend them, and we carry them along. So each stakeholder is critical, and in fact the media even more so. And that is why, you know, we always engage with the media. We have, just like we engage statutorily with the security agencies, with civil society, with the political parties, we also have a statutory quarterly engagement with the media. And when issues arise, we call them as frequently as the issues, demand.
Okay. Dr. Okechukwu, in your personal capacity, you stand as a buffer between the media and the political class. Before you joined us in this studio, and if you are monitoring, the political class has been said not to have taken or imbibed the culture of information, disseminating information to their followers. There has always been interactions between the stakeholders that conduct election and the political parties. But eventually, when the election comes on, you find that a lot of the problem areas are managed by the political class. What can you say should be done to get the politicians more on board with the ideas that are being passed on for a smooth conduct of elections?
Let me start by saying that all the growth recorded in democracy throughout history have been incremental. It is very easy when we come here, we'll say, okay, it's done so way in America. In America, they don't mobilize the police force. People just walk in and walk out. They even post their votes. Yes, it's 200 and something years down the line. Nigeria had our own hiccups here and there. But I think that the Nigerian politicians are learning by the day. We have now seen that there's a differential between performance and non-performance. And that though people have said, okay, what Obaseki did, they are in queue with him. And that they so much admire how he governed them. And they all stood up. So it is a lesson. It's a contest between stomach infrastructure and real development. So Nigeria will gradually, as we move on, get to that level where you find the advanced liberal democracies like the UK, like the United States. But it's going to be gradual. It's not going to be one day, because throughout history, as I said, it had always been a big context that you now know that somebody will relinquish our resources, the Commonwealth, to somebody to manage on our behalf. And we know the advantages the person will, that will accrue to the person. We know how he will also help himself or help his friends. We are now trying to limit that. We are trying to say, look, if you are more selfless, you might get more votes from us. If you do your job or your promises, if you're able to execute all you promised, you get more of our votes. And if somebody had asked in the past, what is the magic that the President Muhammadu Buhari was for over 4 elections, had a vote bank of about 10 to 12 million voters, and he's not a wealthy person. And I told him, it's about the trust. If you try along the line to develop trust within your community, within your confines or your colleagues or your schoolmates or age mates, or along a working career, the people will be keeping their diary. It might not be a big, huge diary, but it might be a diary where they will come to a conclusion that you can be trusted. So I think the Nigerian politicians were also learning that if you can be trusted, it means you have the community behind you. And it's not going to be a one-day affair because of the level of poverty in the land. It's not going to be one-day affair because of illiteracy on the ground and what I call the utopian assumptions, where some people think because, oh, I'm from Enugu State, it's better for the Enugu State person is my brother, the man in Kastar is not my brother, the man is in Ondo is not my brother. We are coming gradually, where people are beginning to look for good people where they find them, where people are beginning to know. As my father used to say, that if there is any word used in any language called thief, it then means in that community they harbor thieves. And those thieves have to be eliminated by the community, not anybody else. So democracy, as I said, is incremental. For anybody that says we are not advancing, for God's sake, you should try to do what we call a calibration If you calibrate and get 10 elections, and you find that eight or 7 was conducted substantially free and fair, please help to award us marks. Don't go into those who have come to conclusion that nothing good will happen in Nigeria. Something good is going to happen. And we have every hope it's going to happen. Some people will go ahead to tell you that the amalgamation was not proper. And you ask them, where on earth, or which country on earth, had no one time or the other joined together, whether it's called amalgamation or whether it is not called. So as long as we exit from the utopian assumption that within the tribal line, you find better hands to work with, and within the religious enclave, you find better hands to work with. It's a gradual exit, and I think it's happening. A lot of Nigerians now live in other parts of the country for years, and there are prejudices and stereotypes about those people had waned. Because for some of us that have been in the North now for 30-something years, it's not my idea of a Northerner. That's the idea of somebody that I grew up with in the village that had not left for the North or had not been to the West. If he had lived in Enugu all through his life, naturally, his own perspective would be different. But if you've dealt with other parts, people from other parts of the country, and you've seen your calculation that in all the favors you got in life, if you ask yourself, it's an awesome man that even helped me, that changes your perspective. And that translates down to our way of election. Election is about people thinking that they want to hold a hold in their own commonwealth. And yes, you voluntarily relinquish it to few people to manage on our behalf because we cannot all manage it ourselves. But you still have to have a hold. That's why we talk of the social contract between the elected and those who elected him. As long as we continue to remember that we have a contract with the people and we honor it, it makes the election cheaper for you, it makes the contest cheaper for you, and you could see the degree of trust will be built up. And gradually you will notice that actually the people are saying, oh, they look for scandal around you, they couldn't find any. They tried to see where you kept their money, they couldn't find. Luckily, I keep on telling them that one of the good things I admire in what President Muhammadu Buhari had done is that one, he did not invent the BVN, he did not invent the Treasury Single Account TSA, but he had the political will to implement them. That today, no matter how smart you are, if any tekobo is transferred into your account, it will hit the ground running. If it is a humongous, more than what you earn, unless the anti-graft agencies do not want to look into it, they will know that there's something happened somewhere. In the past, you could stock your accounts, or you could have about 1,000 bank accounts. But today, even if you have 8, 10, 20, it's the same BVN. Those are the development that is also closing our corruption channels. There's nowhere in the world where people are not corrupt. But it's all this technology that helps to close up those channels. And as long as those channels are closed, those who are in government will do better. And the day they do better, the less the conflict in elections.
What technology can help governance, which you have just highlighted. Sharif, too, mentioned something about technology, but I want to ask him, it's over 10 years now that Justice Lawal Uwais recommended that there should be Electoral Offences Commission. And governments come and go. What is it, Sharif, that you think makes it impossible to set up this Electoral Offences Commission so that people who run foul of one of the areas that everybody is concerned about will be held responsible for their actions?
for establishing electoral offenses courts or commissions should have been the best idea, for this particular country. But one major issue is that those who commit the offenses, those who organize the offenders, those who sponsor, the aberration of electoral rules and regulations, they lack that political feasibility to come into the resolve, to establish such electoral offenses commission. Why? Because previously in Nigeria, we've had confessions and testimonies how political parties have been rigging elections in connivance with all the necessary stakeholders. This has been actually recorded, and Nigerians have been interviewed. So the issue with establishing Electoral Offenses Commission, it will actually reshape the Nigerian democracy and make a shift, from the hitherto electoral system in the country to a new, a better democratic style, in the country. Why? Because those who plan evils, those who plan to rig elections will actually receive that particular caveat by such an institution, that once you breach the laws of the election process, you know that in the long run you're going to end in jail, or these are the repercussions that you are likely to face, in the aftermath of the elections. So Nigerians wouldn't just obey without force, and that is why it is rather global, the instituted authorities that govern the conduct and behavior of people. People lose without, without monitoring their own behavior and what they do. And that is why in elections, which is very significant, because it controls the entire aspect of our lives, because we vote for people to represent us at different institutions, different positions. So therefore, if we allow that such people we give our mandate to are not the same people who come and represent us, the repercussions are that politically, economically, socially, and otherwise will not actually have our voices aired, in this particular polity. And that is why we recommend, we also accept the idea of establishing such electoral offenses commission, or whatever it might be called. It's just like an issue of making politics a less lucrative job in the country. So the argument here is that if you make politics unattractive, because people now venture into politics not with the intention to actually serve the interests of the electorate or even their own people. That is why the line of demarcation between the hitherto political fathers of Nigeria and the contemporary politicians in Nigeria, the issue of selfless service, which these people serve Nigeria. First, they fought for the liberation, decolonization, and independence of Nigeria, not only Nigeria, Africa entirely, but these people died without money in their bank account. Why? Because they were so resolute to making sure that the country or this territory called Nigeria become liberated from colonial domination. That is one. Secondly, establish institutions that will actually pave a way for the development of Nigerian people, educational institutions, political institutions, economic institutions, as well establish friendly relations with the outside, with the outside world. So this is what we are saying. But now the interest of politicians, majority, is not the interest of Nigeria, it's not the interest of the people they represent, but their own personal interest. And that is why we have institutions and individuals that spend their own money, in sponsoring candidates that they will together loot the national treasury, not at the expense of the so-called people represented or the electorate themselves. So that is why, imagine bringing out a bill within the floor of the National Assembly to reduce the salaries of the legislature, or even to do away with some allowances enjoyed by the legislatures, just in order to make politics less attractive in the country. Or, if not this, try to ask the legislatures to actually amend the constitution in order to do this, to reduce the salaries of the legislatures as well as reduce allowances. And you see what will happen within the floor of the House. Majority of them will not agree to this. So it's the same thing we are talking now, serving the interests of the people who voted for you or serving your own personal interests. And that is the line of demarcation. What we need to do is we need to make and put Nigeria first, as well as the people we represent. Not just for us to be after our own family members, after our own businesses and our own political cohort. And that is why we are still backward politically, and the spillover from political backwardness to economic backwardness, even social backwardness, because that makes our educational institutions also backward. Why? Because we lack true representation, from our own political leaders who are supposed to make sure that in all societal ramifications, Nigerians are put first, before any other interest. The development of Nigerians in all these particular areas should be a priority, where other people in other countries in all the continent on earth strive to help their own people, strive to develop their own people. But what we see in our own country now is not the interest of our own people that is first, but rather the interest of our own people at stake. And that is why we are still struggling today to even open our eyes to see who are those true politicians that will serve our own interests. And that is the tragedy of Nigeria, and that is the predicament Nigerians actually are experiencing. They have been experiencing and still experiencing. And Doctor here raised an issue of corruption. Yes, of course. That is political corruption, for you to rig election or to disallow political members or people within the political milieu appreciate or enjoy the dividend of democracy and political gains, but rather your own personal gains with your own family. So these are some of the issues that we epitomized, by the people of Edo State. They are no longer after a political party is not even an issue, but then even promises made by agents of political parties or flag bearers of political parties are not what the people of Edo want. What we want is, how do we develop that particular confidence, that particular emotional ties, with our own politicians, those whom we think will truly serve us and serve our own interests. And that is what we expected from the Edolite, and sooner or later, at least today or tomorrow, we are going to see what the people of Edo have actually chosen for the betterment of their own lives and for the future of the state of Edo.
David, are you not concerned when you hear things such as we have been talking about now, that we want to make progress, we want to do legislate an issue, and they tell you the people who will do it are the beneficiaries, so they will not do it. Mm-hmm. You talk about why don't we have electoral offenses tribunal? They say the people, the politicians will not allow it. You want to make politics less attractive, or holding political office less attractive. They tell you, no, the politicians will not allow it. And yet, these are people who are elected to make life better, make things better for Nigeria. Are you not concerned that we elect them and become helpless?
It is a thing of concern, certainly. But there's evidence on the ground to show that citizens' action can actually lead to change. That evidence is portrayed even in the actions that were led by Yaga Africa, Itodo and his teams, which led to an adjustment in the age bar, for election. So I think we need a citizenry that is up and doing, For the politicians themselves, they need to know that there has to be change, that politics should really be about serving the people, as it is the case in other climes, and that unless we make our political process characterized by patriotism and a desire to serve the people, we will the desired development will continue to elude us, And so patriotic Nigerians should take interest in Nigeria's politics. At the moment, there's this general impression that politicians and people who go into politics are necessarily bad, people. We can change that narrative. We can change that perception if more good people make the sacrifice and go into politics. It will not be easy. The bars are raised in several respects. I know how much it costs to buy the forms to contest for primaries in the millions, I know how much it is, to break into the political ranks, no matter how good you are in terms of integrity, patriotism, and desire to genuinely serve. But citizens' action all over the world have changed the status quo. And so I think there's a call for citizens to take up the gauntlet and to begin to put pressure on these people who should legislate these things that we want to begin to see to make it happen.
Now, what you have just said is part of your job as a National Orientation Agency. But when you come to specifics, what will you tell a group of people who are frustrated by their representatives, not necessarily legislative representatives, but other representatives, governor, even someone who is supposed to represent you at the national level through an appointment, when they feel frustrated that these people are not just doing what we want them to do, what is it in the system that they can hold on to and take action for?
That there's a lot that can be done. I agree that when people win elections and go into political office, access becomes a big challenge. I also agree that quite a number of them shy away from sitting with the electorate, and hearing the electorate out and then getting the substance of what the desires of the electorates are. But there are several inlets, that can be created. Yes. For instance, let's take what has transpired in Edo recently, for instance. The fear of violence in the build-up to that election was largely doused by the intervention of the Oba of Benin.
Yes.
Yes. So that's an inlet. If people around some area are feeling that their elected official is not delivering on the promises, access usually is easier from the hierarchy.
Yes.
They are traditional rulers, they are religious leaders, they are men of influence who are respected whether or not they are in office.
Yes.
And then there's citizens' action, like I have said. And we are conscientizing the citizens to recognize this. It is one thing to want to engage with government. It's quite another thing altogether to know how to do that engagement. Yes. And some of these inlets I just described now are probable means through which people can get the attention of their elected officials.
Nick, guide us. Guide us. Earlier in the day, I had asked you this, if INEC has any role to play in the citizens rising up to say, okay, we can't wait for 4 years. We want this man out of it. You led the process that led him into office. You don't have any role to play in the process that brings him out of office?
Well, we have a role to play, but it has to be instigated by the voters themselves. They can recall their representative, and there's a process for it. And I think there have been one or two attempts to recall some representatives. We went, after the petitions have been written, we went and carried out the election. And, by law, we can carry out an election or a referendum.
Yes.
So once a petition is presented to INEC, we now go to confirm the signatures of those who petition,
yes,
to make sure that they are actual voters of that constituency. And then we now also proceed to carry out an election to find out whether really the citizens of that constituency
yes,
wish to recall him. If he doesn't meet a certain threshold, if those who are opposed to it
yes,
are more in number, then it means the recall cannot happen.
Okay.
So far, there hasn't been any
successful
recall.
Yes, I do remember.
I
remember there was one attempt, and
yes.
it died a natural death when, in verifying the number of signatures, the number exceeded the number of people registered in that locality to conduct election.
Yes.
Automatically, that was fraudulent.
Yes,
and,
so we once it is fraudulent, we cannot proceed, because the idea is that the registered voters in that constituency are the ones who are happy with you.
Yes.
So we have to confirm, and we have a database of all voters anyway.
Okay.
So it's easy for us to confirm. Okay. And once we do that, we now proceed with the referendum. But if, on the other hand, it doesn't, we confirm that the fraud has been committed, then it dies a natural death. So there is that. And of course, there is impeachment. Yes. But impeachment is outside the remit of INEC.
Okay.
It is what, for example, if a governor fails to perform, or if he has committed certain crimes and misdemeanors, you know, the members of the House of Assembly, in respect of the state, or members of the National Assembly, can impeach him. But like I said, that is outside our own remit.
Okay.
Ours begins with organizing and conducting elections, and ends with conducting elections. So, and that's why, you know, we always invite other stakeholders to play their roles, to put these people under surveillance, monitor them, make sure that there is compliance with the promises or pledges they made during the campaigns. For example, I know that CDD had a template where a kind of barometer, where they were now, you know, adjudging the performance of the president based on certain promises he made. I don't know whether they have sustained that barometer or not, but I know they initiated something like that.
Okay.
And a lot of civil society organizations can take their cue from there. You don't necessarily have to do it at the level of CDD. You can be, you can take a state, for example, or even a local government, and subject whichever official that was elected to scrutiny based on the promises he made, and then at the end of the day you enter a judgment as to whether he fulfilled his promises or not. So there are so many of these ways, these things that can be done, and we always encourage. There are things which we feel are necessary, we cannot do, but we encourage members of civil society to do them on behalf of the citizen, because we are very, very deprived and vulnerable, largely compounded by poverty and illiteracy. So you discover that the ordinary person does not have, even if he cares about it, he doesn't have the resources to do that.
Yes.
So we need the civil society organizations to weigh in, you know, to fill that vital gap.
Osita, would you rather, as a politician, be left alone after entering an office, or if you represent your people, would you rather be left alone to do your thing and then wait either till it's time to do elections, then they can pass a judgment on you, or would you rather they can access you and give you, if you like, instructions as to what they want you to do?
Let me get back to the issue about the Electoral Offences Commission before I come to the social contract. between those elected or appointed and the electors. Let me say that the issue of as always recommended the Electoral Offences Commission, but it's been discovered as well that there are extant laws, both in the Constitution and the Electoral Act, that had situated offenses and breaches that could lead to jail terms. And in the past few years, some INEC officials have been jailed, and some are still on trial, and their accomplices. So it's not as if it's been shoved or swept under the carpet. No, please. People are still undergoing trial for their electoral offenses, and some have been jailed. And even some of the bribe they collected, some were recovered. So we have not forgotten about that, because no state or system exists without rewards and sanctions. So there are rewards for behaving well during the elections, and there are sanctions that still exist. What I've discovered along the line is that Nigerians want the bureaucracy to keep on expanding. At the same time, we also forget that resources to maintain such bureaucracies are not there anymore. So we have relevant laws, extant laws, that deal with those who breach the electoral process, unless those offended or the security agency do not want to prosecute, INEC did not present the person for prosecution. Otherwise, if INEC presents anybody, like for instance, the little pockets of breaches yesterday in Edo, the person surely will be tried as if there is a commission, because apparently the commission is not going to try people without breaches. And that's exactly what we're doing today with the courts. As regards the expectation of those elected, it had always been there. And we are saying that the people do not need to even give you the guidelines, but God had created us in such a manner that within our confines we have what God had endowed us with, the conscience. You will know whether actually you are representing your people or not. And
thank you, Dr. Osita. The last local government is ready for us to announce, and so we go to the venue in Benin, the INEC office.
This is the rock. I think the rock. Where's your position? No, I carried it. I thought you carried it. So this is where's God of mercy? Don't worry yourself. Where's it?
Yeah. Thank you. Dr. Ebe, are you ready?
I'm almost ready. That's that list will handle the report.
If you are ready, pick up the microphone. It's there on your left.
Okay.
Switch it on. Inform the audience who you are, and then tell us the person on your left also.
Good afternoon, the returning officer.
Raise your voice, please.
Good afternoon, the returning officer and the members of the jury, the gentlemen of the press. This is the summary of the result for OVA.
No, let us know you, please.
Okay. I am Ibe Kenneth Abara, the collection officer for OVA Southwest, local government area of Edo State.
Thank you. Give it to her. Let us know her.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mrs. Omoye Anuku, electoral officer of the Southwest.
Okay, here is the result for the election conducted today. Yesterday. Sorry, conducted yesterday. Because it's today that we. Sorry. Yesterday spanning to today. Do I give the total number of votes cast or just the votes of each party?
From there, no. The number of registered voters.
Okay. The number of registered voters is 96,000. 96,369. 96,369. Registered voters. Number of accredited voters.
Yes.
24,24558. 24558.
Okay. Votes by the parties.
Huh?
Votes secured by the parties.
Yes.
Go ahead.
AA had a total of 6 votes. ADC had a total of 106 votes, 106. ADP, 171 votes, 171. APC had a total of 10,636, 10,636. 10636. ABGA had a total of 14 votes, 14. APM had a total of 8 votes, 08. APP had a total of 2 votes, 02. LP had a total of 22 votes, 22. MPP had a total of 19 votes, 19. NRM had a total of 35 votes, 35. PDP had a total of 12,659, 12659. 12659 votes. SDP.
Just hold on. Somebody's asking to repeat. Are you listening? PDP.
Okay, PDP had a total of 12659 votes. 12659 votes. 34 votes. YPP had a total of 9 votes. 09. The total valid votes cast is 23741. 23741. Rejected votes 743. 743. Total votes cast 24484. 24484.
Thank you very much. Any cancellation?
There's one cancellation in a unit.
Which unit is that? Which ward and which unit? Which polling unit?
Hussein unit, polling unit.
Which ward?
Let me see. I think Hussein ward unit 7.
What is about the ward?
You said?
That Hussein is which ward?
7.
Ward 7. You said yes. You said ward 7.
What is the total number of registered voters in that unit?
The total number of voters in the
unit that was cancelled.
992. 992.
Looking for cancellation.
There was commotion, fighting, and they were trying to snatch the ballot box, but the security operatives were able to retrieve the ballot box, so every person ran away.
Thank you very much. You may present your report, your result sheet, present the report of the cancellation. Thank you.
Okay. So there's another, well, this one is not cancellation anyway. It's not cancellation in Ward 10.
Is that cancellation?
It's not cancellation, but
submit.
Okay.
That's the result for Abuja Southwest local government. Here is the conclusive G1 for the cancellation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are coasting home gradually. We have collected all the results from the 18 local government here and now. Gentlemen of the press, give me the next 20 minutes to round up and then announce to you the results from the entire state. Thank you.
Stamp or sign.
The 2 pages. Stamp or sign.
is over. Everything is ready. There is that. Okay, sir.
What did you say? There's audio now. Okay. Hello. Well, the last phase of this process is over. The Chief Collation Officer for this election is now doing his final collation and calculations. We hope that in about 30 minutes to about 1 hour, we'll be through with the entire process. The last results just came in. That's from Ovia Southwest, and it states that AA 6, ADC 106, ADP 171, APC 10,636, APGA 14, APM 8, APP 2, LP 22, NNPP 19, NRM 35, PDP 12,659, SDP 34, YPP 20, and ZLP 9. So far, that's the result from the last local government area, that's Ovia Southwest. Just before, after we joined Abuja, Femi Okewo asked a question about the delay so far, especially in this last local government coming in. I know you are home based. You're familiar with the environment. Can you perhaps paint a picture of what may have been the cause for this?
May have been.
Yes.
Yes, not precisely.
Not precisely.
Geographically, the distance between Benin City and the location we're supposed to get the results from will be about 70, 80 kilometers. But the terrain can be very forbidding. You will need to cross some kind of barrier, and because it rained heavily Friday evening, and it rained yesterday, and even this morning, the terrain will have been further fouled. So if somebody needed to transmit anything physically from any of those locations, the just speaking areas, for instance, to Igobazwa, the headquarters of Ovia Southwest, that could have taken some time, really. It could have been a matter of hours, the way we have, I'm not sure I'm not certain about that, but if you are talking about what the problems could have been. But the importance of that here is the issue of even development. You know, of course, these are some of the perennial issues of politics itself. How do we serve people who are entitled wherever they live or wherever they work? So there are some parts of the state that have suffered perpetual neglect from time. And occasions of this kind will bring those aspects of neglect to the fore. Because you expect any person to be able to do an 80-kilometer stretch in an hour or so, especially on a day where movement is generally restricted. But if you have to climb some kind of insurmountable mountains or wade through some kind of marshy grounds where vehicles cannot run freely, that can take you some time. Again, I say, I'm not certain that's what has happened, but potentially that may have accounted for the delay if they had to transmit anything physically.
Okay, we now go to the collation center to see exactly what's happening there.
57. APP 78 LP 267 NNPP 258 NROM 573 PDP 307 955 307 955 SDP 323 YPP 132 ZLP 117 total valid votes 5374 407 total valid votes 537 407 rejected votes 12835 total votes cast 550242 total votes cast 550242 and that is the end of collation of the results come for Edo 2020. I hereby invite the parties as follows to come and sign their columns if they are here. Duly identified party agents. 1. AA. AA, is he here? There's a column clearly shown for you to sign your signature. AA. Then just day by the side. ADC. No, the Bible, sir. The Bible. Okay. ADC. We go to APC. APC. Please, you are invited to sign the result sheet.
Yes, I just want to say I have the mandate of my principal not to sign, so I'm not going to sign.
Come back.
I said I have the mandate of my principal not to sign this. Thank you.
APM. APM. Where are we? Followed by APM. Okay, Abga. Where's Abga? APM signed there. Yeah, no, your signature on it. Date. Abga. Abga, you can sign there. Okay, Abga signed there. Just the signature. That's what to send that present to you. Which other one? APP, LP, Labour Party, if you are here, come up. NNPP, PDP, SDP, YPP, and ZLP. Sign your name and date. Which party? LP. NNPP. Sign your signature and date. Date. PDP, SDP, please come forward, come forward. Not that one again. Okay. I hereby detach the first and the second chief belong to INEC. Belong to INEC. The third one belongs to the communal police. Let me touch it. CP, sir, copy of the results of the just and conducted collation. The fourth one. Thank you. Any other party that contested selection can come and have their it will be visible again. Look at it. So thank you, gentlemen. That is the end of the coalition. Like I said earlier, it's a two process. We are finished with the coalition. The next process is to declare the results. Give us another 20 minutes, we will declare the result of the election. Thank you.
Where is Lizzie?
Hello? Is that what? No, a copy of what? No, it's not that clear. You want to write on it? Give me that one.
Okay, we just saw chief coalition officer there calling out party agents to sign for their party for the results already called out. Yeah, Professor Eddie Aragbe is still here with me, and Dr. Osawaru Okunzuwa is also here. We're keeping a close eye on what is happening here at the Coalition Center, right in the INEC headquarters here in Benin. Prof. It's a long walk.
I think the long-awaited moment is here. And that is that the main exercise has started, we could say by Thursday, because by Friday, remember, they had to distribute the sensitive materials and all. And the actual voting that took place yesterday, after waiting, and it looks like exactly almost the same time voting was supposed to stop yesterday, which is 24 hours. The results from the last of the LGAs has finally arrived, and the results have been calculated and collated. And of course, what we just saw was the chief returning officer of the state gubernatorial election calling on representatives of the parties to come and sign. And it's not uncommon that at moments like this, some party reps, for one reason or the other, might decide not to append their signature to the results that have been declared. And that is what seemed to have just occurred, because some of the parties did not listen or did not respond when they were called upon to come and sign. And in one of the cases, the rep's response was that he has the mandate of his party not to sign as far as the results declared are concerned. So we are almost now waiting for the returning officer of the election to give the verdict as to what finally happened
with the results. Yeah, but there has to be a pronouncement.
Let's go back to the collation center now to see what's happening there now. Still, the collation of results from the chief collation officers. Doc, we saw earlier the chief collation officer calling out party agents to come to, sign on behalf of their parties. So far so good. We are the final lap. So, what's your take?
Yeah, so far so good indeed. We are happy things have gone smoothly. At this stage, at least those who have won, those who are also favored, like people of Edo State electorally, also know. And again, as somebody in Abuja said, this is time to sue for peace. Because this is when the raw emotions probably be running high on the side of both the political actors themselves and their supporters. Because for some, the outcome may not be congruent with their expectation. The plea is that they should seek all legitimate means to address whatever grievances they may have and eschew violence completely.
Okay, Prof.
Yeah, I do agree. At times like this, when results to be different response, especially from the main contenders and their supporters. For those that have won, of course, it's celebration. For those that have not been able to make it this time, we know it's a period of not being so happy. So what is called for? We call for being magnanimous in victory and being careful not to, in quote, there is the expression we use in our local parlance, don't rub it in. These things have happened now. Whatever your celebrations, be careful not to go against and try to ridicule those that have not been able to make it. And for those that have lost out also, they should be able to take it to the extent that whatever has happened now, if, for example, from what we heard, the rep of one of the party, the main opposition in this election, that is by way of the final result, that did not make it, he says he has instruction not to sign. Like the lawyers, we always tell us when they come out, when judgments have been given, sometimes they will say, my client is going to consider all the options before they know what next to do. So let us hope that this victory is one for the Edo people, because one, the elections have been concluded. Two, they have been relatively peaceful. And from what we are seeing now, is that a winner has emerged, as the results will be given, and if other things are to follow, let it be done according to the prescriptions and the rule of law. And that is very, very critical. So let us not, in over-celebrating, cause anything that will bring disaffection and problem as far as the state is concerned.
Okay, this is a critical moment.
Yes.
The whistle will soon
be blown.
You will soon hear the whistle now, and that signifies the end of the game. Just saying, this is also a critical moment for us to continue to enjoy the peace that has prevailed all through this process. Doc, what are your expectations in this area?
Well, deriving from general temperament of people, I believe the person who is to declare the winner today will be magnanimous, as Professor Rabbe has said, and there should not be crowing that will be found provocative. To divide any community as we have in this purpose of election is always a risky thing. It has to be managed with all prudence and maturity. And the gentleman who will pronounce the loser on account of the results that we read or declared, yes, he must believe there will be a brighter tomorrow. Nobody knows what is in stock for any person. You should not believe this is the end of the road. Something better than the governorship can crop up along his pathway, or even the governorship itself along his pathway beyond this very 2020 election. So we should keep his hopes high and keep his heart warm, and wait for the better.
Okay, so we are talking about the issue of sportsmanship.
Exactly, and I think the point must be made that in any contest of this nature, there's no way the two people will win. Somebody was bound to win and one was bound to, not just one. Remember, there are 13 others that did not make it. It's just that there is one that was so much in the front runner position that we think that, oh, he could have also made it as far as the elections were concerned. And so this is one of the realities of times that having fought this kind of great fight, it will be that one will emerge the winner and the other may not have secured it as it were. But what is most important, and we hope for, we have seen it in this country before, as exhibited by the now well-celebrated former president of our country, in the person of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who, when things were now obvious, as far as the elections were concerned, even when many were already clamoring for it cannot be, he considered the interest of the nation to be higher than personal interest. And as a result of that, he made that historic phone call that turned around the fortunes of our country, because everybody was scared of what we follow as a result of those elections. It's in that same spirit.
Okay.
Okay.
I, Professor Akpofure Rimruke, hereby sanctify that I'm the returning officer for Edo State Governorship election held on the 19th day of September 2020. The election was duly contested. The candidates received the following votes. 1. Permit me for pronouncement, please. Ebe Melkota Osamaya of AA had 107 votes. Mabel A. Obo of ADC have 1370 votes. Obio L. Emmanuel of ADP had 2374 votes. Osiage A. Eze Iyamu of APC have 223619 votes. 223619 votes. Osage L. Idehen of APGA had 177. 177. Ibeneweka Osamudie of APM had 57. 57. Amos O. Arelobe of APP had 78 votes. Osifo U.E. Azaya of Labour Party LP had 267 votes. 267 votes. Agol E. Tracy of NMPP had 258 votes. 258 votes. Stephen N. Ozono of NRM had 573 votes. 573 votes. Godwin N. Obaseki of the PDP had 307,955. 307,955. Felix Obayagbon of SDP had 323 votes. Osiegobari Jones of YPP had 132 votes. Ahelome Amelneonogane of ZLP had 117. That Godwin N. Obaseki of PDP, having satisfied the requirement of the law in meeting the 25% in two-thirds of the local government area in the state, and having a margin of lead higher than the council votes, is hereby declared the winner and returned elected. Signed by myself. Today, 20 September 2020. Thank you, gentlemen of the press. You have your rights.
Well, that is the final whistle. The game is over. And Governor Godwin Nogegase Obaseki, the incumbent, has been re-elected for another 4-year term in office. Like I promised you earlier, our reporters are everywhere in town and will be bringing you reactions from the people. Okay, Elizabeth is ready. Let me join her now. She's in the Edo State Government House. Lizzie, if you can hear me very well, can you give me a sense of the feeling around where you are now?
Thank you, Agatha. I'm at the PDP situation room here in Government House. As the result is announced, some persons are in a euphoric the place is we're in a euphoric atmosphere, and some are jubilating over the results. I have here with me. Okay. May we meet you, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Dr. Uyi Oduwa Malaka, Special Advisor to the Governor on Strategy and Program Management. Hi.
So how will you describe the electoral process that has resulted in returning Governor Gordon Obaseki for a second term?
I think that this is a historic moment for not just Edo State, but a historic moment for our country, Nigeria. Because I can tell you from my standpoint that this is the most free and fair elections that we have experienced in recent times. And everyone has acknowledged that, and we are especially thankful to the President, Muhammadu Buhari, for giving us a level playing field. You know, we had a lot of stories about federal might and all that, but we just stood still. We knew that as Edo people, we will fight to the end for what is right. And even if we lose, we will have our heads up high because we've done the right thing. So it's a remarkable thing that has happened to us today.
Now, what are the lessons that we can learn from this election, probably from other states?
I think that the biggest lesson from this is to understand, to have a perfect understanding of the power of the people. That the people must lead. The people must lead. The people must lead every time. You can hear the cheering on the background.
As you can see, there is jubilation in the air. The people just got the result right here at the PDP situation room. Brother Matt,
I've seen him here.
You were telling us about making Edo State a template for other states to copy. So what other lessons are you saying we should have?
Another lesson that will come out of this is that it's not as much as think thinking that you are here to serve people and to lord. I mean, it's not. You don't look at any position of power, any position, any office as an opportunity to, treat people unfairly. But you must always look at your position as a privilege, and to understand that without the people, you cannot be there as a leader. So followership always dictates the stage for leadership. That's what I would say. What has happened in Edo is just something that we haven't seen before. Across Nigeria, you can hear all the cheers behind. Everybody is excited. We decided that as Edo people, we were going to
we lost contact there with our reporter Elizabeth Owotoma in the PDP Situation Room right in the Government House, Edo State. We hope to rejoin her to get the feel of what is actually happening around there when we can reconnect with her. But moving back here to the studio, Prof, the game is over.
Yes. Well, as we were saying, it is the chief umpire, the representative of INEC, has declared, following the results that have been collated from the 18 local government areas of Edo State, that the incumbent governor has again the mandate of the people to lead them for the next 4 years. What we are saying is how will people react to this. We expect that town is going to be agog with those supporters, but then let us see that at the end of the day, we are all one people. And as we have said earlier on, there is no way it was going to be that the two will emerge together as the winners, or the 14 of them, one was bound to come out top. And in this particular case, the incumbent governor went with his scorecard to mobilize the people to say, give me a chance to continue with the job I'm doing. I have tried, I have room to improve, and the people listened, and they believed in him, and the majority of Edo people have given the mandate. I am sure that for the governor that we know, is one that we realize that he is the governor of Edo State, not the governor of the 300,000 people that voted for him. Because remember, the population of Edo State is now close to 5 million. Registered voters close to 2 million. And of these, we are saying now collectively, the total votes cast is in the region of under 600,000. So it is the people that are eligible that have spoken on behalf of the other population of Edo State. And having given the mandate, we believe that we'll be working to unite the state so that the great vision that he has for our state will be actualized. It's really a moment of congratulations, both to the governor who has emerged the winner, his deputy, or the party itself, all those that worked with him. And as we have said, we must also recognize the gallant...
Okay, Doctor, I'll stop you here.
Okay.
Let's go back to Lizzie. Yeah, it starts the PDP Situation Room right in the Edo State Government House, and we are seeing what's happening there. I'm sure the governor is coming out, to meet with his reporters. You're having so much cameramen there. I'm sure everybody wants to catch a glimpse of the governor and probably take his thoughts on his victory today at the election. Lizzie, if you can hear me, can you...
It is a euphoric atmosphere here. That the governor just came into the situation room where he had the results. So far, he will be addressing the World Press Conference right here. Let me see if I can meet up with the governor for him to...
Who is that? Lizzie.
Please excuse me.
Let's go back. Let's go back.
His Excellency, sir.
Let's go back. Let's go back. Go back. Let's go back. Continue, go back now.
Excellency, sir. NTA will be having you live. NTA will be having you live. Okay. The governor will be addressing the World Press Conference, after which I will bring it back to you, to the studio. Just hold on.
Give yourself a push, go first.
Go down. Good. No. For the support they have given to us since the campaign and during the election and after the election yesterday till today. To God be the glory, all their efforts are not in vain. Our governor has been declared as the winner of the September 19, 2020 governorship election in Edo State. I want to thank my colleagues, the governor of Delta State, the governor of Oyo State, even though he had just left, and all other people who served in the campaign council. I don't know how to thank them, but it was a teamwork. I also thank the governor for giving us the necessary support that helped to lead to this victory. I want to say thank you. The press, you've done noble, you've done marvelous. A few hours ago, we were here to brief you on what was going on. I thank God thereafter the announcement came. And all those who worked in the campaign states in those states, we want to sincerely thank each and every one of you. Let me now formally introduce the newest governor. The man whom God used to fight God's fatalism. If for nothing, we have achieved that there was nothing called God fatalism again in Edo politics. Edo people have spoken, and Edo people said, look, we cannot tie our faith in one man's hand. And that was what Edo did yesterday. So I want to thank him that he volunteered himself to be used to fight for the interests of Edo people. My dear brother, and your deputy want to say, let people, even though they've known you before, but probably they were thinking whether is it the council we know or not. So I want you to rise. Thank you. And God bless you. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, my brother governor of River State and chairman of my gubernatorial campaign committee, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, Your Excellency and my brother governor of Delta State, Governor Kowa, my brother and deputy, the Right Honorable Philip Shaibu, Chairman of the Edo State version of the Campaign Council, and Chairman South-South PDP, Chief Dan Obi, the Chairman of our party in Edo State, Dr. Tony Azegbami, distinguished senators, member of the House of Assembly, Secretary to the Government of Edo State, Saudian Ogie, and all the distinguished leaders of our party who are present. Gentlemen of the press, the great people of Edo State have spoken. and they have spoken loud and clear. We thank God Almighty and give him all the glory for this victory. Thank you, President Muhammadu Buhari, for defending our democracy and allowing the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, and the security services to perform their constitutional functions without interference. INEC and the security services have shown Nigerians and the world indeed that they are capable of conducting free and credible elections. Words fill me in saluting the teeming supporters who displayed courage in the face of threats, intimidation, and brutalization. The collective will of Edo people made it possible for us to triumph over Godfatherism. We thank you all. I am eternally grateful to my party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP. And my brother governors, not only for giving us the umbrella during our political storm, but for the hard work which has brought me back to office. Our success has reinforced my belief that there's nothing we cannot achieve as a people if we pull forces together and collectively call on God for support. In conclusion, I reiterate to all of you today that working with my deputy, the Right Honorable Philip Schreiber, we are committed to make Edo great again. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for your support. God bless.
That's the newly elected governor of Edo State, the incumbent, Godwin Nogegase Obaseki, appreciating Edo people and his supporters for re-electing him. We just saw that press conference. Saw the chairman of the National Campaign Council of the PDP, that's the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, also appreciating Edo people. Also, Delta State Governor Senator Ifeanyi Okowa there just to give a supporting hand to their brother. Prof, yeah. It's a long walk to victory.
Yes. It has not been easy, but I'm sure that it has been worthwhile. It is obvious that there was conviction, there was determination, and of course there was tenacity and sagacity, if we want to use those words, on the part of the governor to overcome. And as he has rightly pointed out, the President of the Federal Republic must be congratulated today to the extent that we don't have reports of intimidation and manipulations of the system, either by INEC or representatives of the security officers and all. We know that in due course there might be issues that will be raised, but the totality of what has happened today, or that has happened in this election, as rightly captured by the governor, is that the people of Edo State decided to really hang on to the issue of democracy and express their wishes as to who they wanted. And in this case, the majority have given it to the incumbent governor to lead them again for the next 4 years. It is actually victory for all Edo people, a victory for the security forces, victory for INEC, and indeed victory for Nigeria. And we must thank God that at the end of the day, things have turned out this way. And we hope that the peace that is on now will prevail, despite the losses that have occurred on the part of those that did not make it at the end of the day.
Okay, we have Uduakobong Achibong standing by to speak with the APC candidate, Pastor Osage Izayamu, at his residence. But before we get to her, Dr. Kunzua, I just want your thoughts. The game is over.
Yes, it's ended well. The final result has been called. We now know the winner officially, and we also know those who couldn't make it officially. And just like Mr. Agbe said, it was very appropriate of the governor to appreciate the president, because the doubts we have had about our democracy over time has been the lack of neutrality of the state apparatus. In this very instance, I don't think any reasonable person will complain about the interference of INEC or security forces led by the police. So the neutrality was in evidence. That allowed the people to go express their views, their preferences without any fear of molestation, if anything, under the protection of our armed forces. And the results are here with us. So yes, as he has said, occasion for us to celebrate. I also join in urging the winner to be magnanimous, and the runners-up should believe there's going to be a tomorrow as well. And looking at the layout of the votes, you can also see gallantry. It was not a fight that was complete run over.
All right.
It was a kind of stiff effort.
Okay. Okay.
It was always up to the people of Edo State, so long as they were not fettered to decide who will be their government from this point.
Okay. We'll come back to you, but I understand that Udwak is ready for me. Udwak, if you can hear me, can you tell us the situation where you are now?
Yes, right now I'm at GRA Benin City, precisely. The residents of the APC candidate that contested in the Edo governorship election, that's Pastor Sagi Iziyamu. And we've been here for the past 6 hours, waiting to get his reaction as soon as the result of the election is announced. But as it is, that may not be possible at this point in time, because from the information we have from the media representative of Pastor Sagi Iziyamu, he may not speak at this point in time, but will later on issue a press statement on the result released by INEC.
That he would not speak now, but what is the general situation? What's the atmosphere there?
Is calm, and except that we have few persons who just came in, they just trigger in and out, but nothing happening here. Everywhere is calm, and that's just the situation.
Your cameraman, Udwak, if you can hear me, can your cameraman move a bit for us to see actually what is happening around you there? Just tell your cameraman to move a bit. Let's get a feel or a sense of the environment there.
To see the atmosphere around.
Candidate right in the GRA here in Benin City. We are seeing security officials there. Yes, security vehicles there. The atmosphere there is kind of calm and quiet. Udwak, have you seen him today? Have you seen Pastor Iziyamu today, perhaps?
Yes, definitely. We saw him earlier on about some hours ago, precisely some minutes to 1 p.m. today. He came into the premises and went in with some of his party leaders. And after the timeout, nobody's allowed to have access to him. As a media person,
Achibong, giving us a feel, a sense of what is happening, the residents of the APC candidate, Pastor Sagi Iziyamu, at the GRO here in Benin City. So, Doctor, come back to you. Your closing thoughts. How would you analyze the situation from when the votes actually started yesterday to now?
It's almost a referendum that the process was smooth, was peaceful, and the neutrality of INEC was in evidence. Just like the governor himself has said, the president proclaimed that this election was not allowed to run according to how Edo people would decide to be. And Edo people were enabled to come out yesterday to express themselves freely, and we know the verdict already. A new mandate is being conferred, form of a renewal of an old one, beyond November 12th. Whatever made the people of Edo State to extend the mandate, we just wish would be sustained. And it can be repeated too that we congratulate the winner, the incumbent governor. We also greet Pastor Zezage among the APC candidates. It's probably time for APC to probably go back and do a post-mortem of how they lost and how they could have won. The same thing will apply to the PDP. We probably will be going back to also examine their success factors and also probably have a look at what could have caused them the victory as well. And for the other candidates, the remaining 12, yes, we probably have a lot of work to do in gaining recognition and coming into reckoning between the political free upper.
Okay.
And also the spirit of congratulate the NTA and all the media for the work they have done, the IG, the police, and all the security agencies for their contributions. So those two people, congratulations.
Professor Rabi.
Mine, I want to take it a step a little backward by way of looking at the campaigns and all that took place. They were very tense ones, but there was determination on both sides to sell the message of the two main parties and others, of course, that tried as far as this contest was concerned. In the process, we know that some nerves were frayed, and there could have been some little problems here and there. That this is definitely time for healing of the people. And remember that we have said earlier on that we cannot but celebrate and thank those key players that helped to douse the tension when we thought we were heading for the Principe, as far as our state was concerned. And in this regard, our own revered monarch, the Oba of Benin, must be congratulated. I'm sure that his intervention played a major role. We must also recognize the role played by the body led by the former head of state of our country, that is Abubakar, in terms of their intervention. The various Christian groups, or religious groups, let me say, both Christian and Muslims, the media, all that were calling and praying that this thing will come out well. Because at the end of the day, democracy as we want it, it's not for people to die. It's not for people to be injured. It's not for properties to be destroyed. It is supposed to be a periodic period, a periodic time when the citizens decide who will represent them at different levels of governance, be it at the local government level, the state level, the federal level, and in this particular case, the state level. And it has turned out that the work that the incumbent governor has been doing in the past 3-4+ years, the people, by this expression, are saying you have done well. Something that for me as a historian, which is interesting, and we want to look at the figures, I was just whispering to my brother here, is that looking at the results of today is almost reminiscent of the results that came about 4 years ago. It's just that the personalities are still there, but the parties have changed. And that was that the victory of the incumbent governor about 4 years ago came by way of 300,000+ votes. And the person that has come second this time again scored 200+ votes as well, which shows some element of consistency as far as the people's endorsement is concerned. But what we have said here, and the spirit in which the governor has spoken, and I believe that is going to be the template with which he's going to operate, is to be a governor that will try to bring together the people of the state without looking at these were the ones that voted for me, or like the statement that was made some time ago. But we know that since that statement was made, not by him, but another, it is that they've gone beyond that. He's now the governor of Edo State. The men, the women, the children that came out singing, clapping, hoping, praying for him to get the mandate, he should not disappoint them. And we join them in praying that he will excel in this second term by the grace of God. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Edi Eragbe, for your time with us, and Dr. Okunzo Osawaru, thank you so much for being a part of Edo Decide Studio. Thank you so very much. Yes, it's a new dawn in Edo State. The people have spoken. They have decided through the ballot. In an election, observers, political watchers, and indeed the people have commended to be free, fair, and credible. We saw the PDP candidate. We also heard what it's been like for the APC candidate at his residence. The slogan of the PDP celebrating their victory all over town. Now, Godwin Obaseki will be sworn in on November 12th for another 4-year term in office. We thank you so much for being a part of Edo Decide Studio here in Benin, but we'll now hand you over back to Abuja.
Thank you, Agatha. You have led us down history, and history is being made, of course, with this election. And of course, with every election, there is a mark that is made on our quest for perfect democracy. In fact, in societies where you think that democracy has gone for hundreds of years, they are still learning on a daily basis. Now, in Abuja here, we have to round up our thoughts. Let's start from Osita. How does it feel to have this kind of election?
Thank you very much. I'm not too happy that PDP, we of the APC, we did the farming. All that Obaseki achieved was during his tenure as a PDP, as APC governor. And the PDP grabbed our harvest. This is what we could have harvested. He could have had more votes, and the differential could have been more than 77,000 votes. So I'm not too happy. For the election, observing from Abuja, I would say it was free and fair, but I do not know what my party people must have known on the ground that I do not know. But the most important thing that was styling is that Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, had received kudos from the winner, from observers, and all the peace committee, the Abdusalam Bishop Kuka Peace Committee, the Oba of Bini. But if all those people had done their peace parley, and Mr. President had delved into the arena, it could have been different. So we thank Mr. President for being a statesman and father of all. And as a Democrat convert, he's trying to extend the frontiers of democracy, that the people's vote will count. But for the PDP, they owe us a lot because we harvested, we did the farming, and they took our harvest. Thank you.
That's quite interesting, Dr. Osita. Why does an opposing party owe you? Let's have you expatiate on that.
We are going to go back to the drawing board. As I said earlier when we were taking off, that was the only spot we had in the geopolitical region called the South-South. We are going to do our own homework and know what to do next by the fact that we know that we are very well received in the region. By sleep, we lost by Elsa that we won. And there was always another day. So we'll come back to that. But I'm saying that all that Obaseki achieved is in line with the manifesto of the All Progressive Congress. We emphasized that we're going to pay more attention to infrastructure, which Mr. President is doing, and Obaseki also did. The loans he got from his agricultural program is also benched on the President Muhammadu Buhari's agrarian revolution, where he told the CBN to look into the palm belt, just like the cotton belt, just like the rice belt. And Obaseki, being a hardworking man, benefited immensely from President Muhammadu Buhari's agrarian revolution. And today the PDP is clapping as if they did the work.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sherry, if you can hear Osita there, and let's hear from you. From what he has just submitted, it would seem he's saying that elections are not necessarily an end in themselves. They are a means to an end, means to development. And even for political parties, it means whether in defeat or in victory, political parties can learn lessons. What do you think?
But I see it as a Freedom Day or Independence Day, not only for the people of Edo, but for the people of the entire country, Nigeria. Why is because we are seeing the twilight of what they tag as godfatherism, allow people to choose their will, allow people to choose their choice, and allow people to choose the person they deem fit, to serve them. And if we're going to have this in 2023 general elections, I think it will speak volume of Nigerian politics. Why? Because we have other candidates, but the spirit of godfatherism will actually deter the emergence of such a good candidate that could actually contest and serve the people. So godfatherism in Nigerian politics is something that has actually been keeping Nigerian politics, hostage. And that, to demystify, let me use the words of Obaseki when we met here, to demystify Nigerian politics is, first of all, to take a lion heart, to first of all deal with that issue of godfatherism, which serves as a bottleneck to political development. So therefore, Mr. President, who actually led the foundation, to show himself as a true Democrat. I think Nigerian politicians should learn from him. And President Muhammadu Buhari learned this from the 2015 general elections, to leave a legacy of free and credible elections to hold, just as his predecessor, who allowed him to continue, who had the paraphernalia, all the institutions, at his disposal to rig the elections, but they signed the peace accord, the peace pact, and finally he congratulated Mr. President. And I think Buhari has learned a great lesson to allow the will of the electorate to actually prevail and respect such will of the electorate. So I think on this matter or issue, President Muhammadu Buhari should be commended, on this effort. You can even hear it from the governor-elect Obaseki, who thanked Mr. President and other people, without whose neutral intervention in allowing the political atmosphere, to freely allow people make their choices, it wouldn't have been possible. But I also want to say this, that other areas of the society that Mr. President should actually venture, make people have cheaper food, for their own consumption, education, university lecturers, are on strike, security. I think these are all areas they should actually emphasize on, because the issue of Edo State, these are other contributing factors that also contributed to this, because people are looking at the governing or the ruling party, and the opposition party, that issues have exacerbated, under the leadership.
Thank you, Dr. Sheriff Gali Ibrahim there, Department of Political Science, University of Abuja. Thank you for spending your valuable time today to look at the development of our polity through the Edo 2020 elections. I also want to thank Dr. Osita Okechukwu, Director General, Voice of Nigeria, for sparing us his time to both look at this issue, which helps our democracy to develop. So we can ease you out. Thank you very much for spending your very valuable time with us and our viewers. And now, here with us still is David Akoji. He is of the National Orientation Agency. Quickly, David, what gives us this sense of satisfaction in some elections? And without yet going to court, without going anywhere, people seem satisfied with some particular elections. And some elections, even from their announcement, people, at least the large number of people you talk to, give you a sense that something went wrong.
I think it is the sense of transparency in the entire process, in the value chain, of the process, and also the sense of fairness, and openness, which has been demonstrated in this election. I'm looking at 5 stakeholders. From the National Orientation Agency, speaking from the point of view of our desire to sustain the peace, even post this announcement of results. I would want to say to the governor, who has emerged victorious, to speak to his supporters. They should not celebrate in a way that conveys spite and disdain for the losers. You know, so he needs to help us in that level of advocacy to say that they should be calm, they should maintain the peace, and they should not provoke by way of celebration the losers in this election. Now, for the losers, I want to advise that they should be conscious of the fact that there will be other elections. This is not the end all of the matter, you know, and they can closely watch the performance of this governor who will be sworn in November, you know, to ensure that the promises that have been made are delivered on. So they have a stake in maintaining the peace.
And what the people seem to like and what they don't like.
Yes, absolutely. So even the losers have a stake to ensure that peace is maintained post this election. The 4th category of stakeholders I'm looking at is INEC. There are lessons to draw, and some of those lessons have been talked about here. They need to ensure that the card readers function properly. They need to ensure that materials arrive at the respective place on time. You know. Then finally, I want to address even the people of Edo State. You must engage with this government that will emerge in November. That election is concluded does not mean that governance process is concluded. You must hold these people to account for all the promises that they have made and to ensure that they deliver on those promises.
Thank you very much. Nick Dazang, I give you the last word.
Thank you very much. Permit me to use this opportunity to express our profound gratitude to all stakeholders who gave us muscular support in the conduct of yesterday's election. We hope that they will continue to give us this kind of support also in subsequent elections, such as the conduct of the Ondo governorship election, which is just 2 weeks away, and then the conduct of 15 harmonized by-elections on 31st October 2020. Having said that, I want to draw from Winston Churchill, who once said, in victory, magnanimity, in defeat, gallantry. This is the moment for the governor to be magnanimous. Even though, you know, my brother here suggested that there should be a celebration, I support him and say that the celebration should be a bit subdued, it should not be vulgar, it should not be outlandish. Then we also will, you know, the lessons, there are many lessons we have learned from the conduct of this election. We'll go back to the drawing board and factor some of these lessons that we have learned in the conduct of subsequent elections.
Thank you very much. Now, viewers, from submissions here and in Benin, and from the atmosphere, one can generally draw the conclusion that this election has been a success. We are hoping that it would not be a 1 step forward, 2 steps backward for subsequent elections. All the stakeholders should have monitored this election and must have picked out what is of paramount concern to their own area of operation. And from this end, the Nigerian Television Authority is particularly proud to have you join us all through from Friday for Edo Decides 2020. I'm sure you'll be with us again in the next few weeks when the next set of election moves to Ondo State, also in the southern part of Nigeria. Let's thank you very much, and let's hope that our democracy continues to develop. On behalf of the top management staff and other members of the Nigerian Television Authority, I want to say thank you for being part of this program. I am Femi Okeowo, signing off from the Abuja studios.
place that unites Nigeria.
Is what we call shrink tube. You place it over anywhere you sew that, then you apply heat to it. It leaves it a better appearance. Like boys, men always want to fly stuff, even paper plane. I'm sure if you give even the president a paper plane today, he will throw it. You just want to see how it will glide and, fly. So I picked interest in drones, and I now wanted to make it myself because drones are not cheap, they're expensive. And in learning how to fly drones, you would crash them. And I saw, besides having fun with flying drones, I saw the things you could do.
Benjamin Chiedu's love for technology dates back to his childhood years, and since then, he nursed the ambition to create something. 2 years ago, he decided to quit paid employment to pursue an age-long dream.
As a child, I would take my toys, I'll take them apart and put them back together. My mom will buy me a toy today, and that same day, I'll find myself taking it apart. My interest was in, how is this thing doing this? We had toy cars that you would wind and release and they'll move on their own, and the ones you even need remote control on. So from there, I had that knowledge of how to take things apart and put them back together. So I had always had it in mind to produce and do stuff myself so that I can determine when I want to take a holiday or when I want to work. The thing is, when you work for people, you never get enough. So the places I worked actually were just to prepare me for my own stuff.
Rotors and Pilots Limited is an indigenous company which develops and provides reliable and innovative unmanned aerial vehicle solutions. These UAVs are commonly known as drones.
The first time I saw drones on TV and I saw what it could do, besides carrying the camera, I saw that drones could be used to deliver